by Riverside.
Hello, and welcome back to TheSadFan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad from the previous week. And we want to welcome in Jordan from Popcorn and Beers, one of the other hosts on one of the shows or properties on the network. Welcome, Jordan.
Hey, how's it going? Glad to finally get on this one.
You've been wanting to for a while, and for those who don't know, Jordan is a major sports fan, and he's a major Bay Area sports fan, despite the hat he chose to wear today.
Oh, man. Go Ducks. Go Ducks.
So now I've got three of them, three Ducks fans floating around the Sad Fan podcast. And just like it almost became a Seattle-based show a couple weeks ago, they are determined to turn this into an Oregon Ducks platform. And I will not allow it, Bruins. I will not allow it. What we usually do, Jordan, to kick off the hour is talk about what made us sad. And I'm going to start today. The article came across my timeline of Antonio Brown, again, not paying somebody, which tends to be a trend with this person.
Oh, my God. That guy. And we're talking arena football salaries here.
Yes.
We're not talking NFL multi-million-dollar contracts here. These are guys that have night jobs. They work two jobs, and you can't pay them. What's a typical arena football contract?
So I don't know, probably a couple thousand, maybe like $15,000-$20,000 a year to play.
Yeah. Wow.
And did you hear what he did when they went to him for their money?
Oh, how he locked them out of their
hotel rooms like a child. So he doesn't pay for art in his home. He doesn't pay for produced beats. He doesn't pay for his album. He doesn't pay his agent. He doesn't pay his chef. What? This guy is going to get sued from so many different angles. He's going to be broke.
Yeah. Yep.
It just makes me sad that trash human beings, and I don't know his story, but I know enough at this point to know he's a trash human being. He's a trash person. He just, maybe life beat him up, but he allowed this to happen, because you don't have to be a product of your circumstance. You can be better than your circumstance. And this dude is just an awful person, from, jerking off in a public pool in front of women, like that's going to get it done, to wearing a washcloth over your penis when an artist is trying to paint a mural in your house, an artist that you didn't intend on paying, to, throwing rocks at a guy, a mover that asked him to pay his bills. This guy is just a terrible person, and this is just a notch on another rung on the ladder of Antonio Brown is one of the worst people on earth.
You hate to even joke about the type of thing because it's a very serious thing, but this guy needs help. I think the CTE is a comment I've said from a hit. There's a famous hit that was put on him, and
Vontez Burfict.
From interviews, he hasn't been the same. They kind of changed him in a way, and I think some damage has something to do with that. It has to.
Okay. It's hard to tell. We don't know a lot about CTE. So for the audience, that's chronic traumatic encephalopathy, and it's a disease of the brain, or the deterioration of one's brain, that can cause a plethora of side effects such as depression, loss of control, or acting out. Right?
Impulse control, loss of. It's kind of like a loss of a emotional
stability.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's just nuts. So this is just another thing, another mark against Antonio Brown. Not paying these guys. I mean, it's tax write-offs too. Every time you pay somebody or an employee, that's a write-off. It's the cost of doing business. So he's just not savvy, or he doesn't have the right people working for him. And eventually investors or companies seeking investments are just going to stop going to him, because he's just a terrible person. Now, outside of that making me sad, what made you sad this week?
It's been a back and forth feeling with the Golden State Warriors. Game 1 was atrocious.
Yes.
After that game, I'm hesitant to be even though it's very glaring, the free throw differential discourse that's going on with that, they shot double the amount of free throws as the Warriors, and people are saying, oh, well, Maybe if the Warriors drove to the paint more, they're 3 point. They're just jacking up threes all over the place.
But they're so small. The Warriors are so small.
Yeah, but there's a lot like Steph Curry gets the worst superstar whistle in
He gets
all of
fouled a lot. He gets
a lot.
he reminds me of when in the league, I will admit this, the league was a lot rougher during Jordan's time, but
Yeah.
some of the videos when you go back and watch Jordan, the way he was getting beat up, if you watch Steph, he gets beat up pretty good when he goes
He's
inside or on the outside. He has constant guys stepping in his landing zone.
off the ball too. He's just
Yeah.
constantly getting grabbed and tugged, and like because he just runs in circles till he gets open, basically.
Yeah.
And he just every time he rubs somebody coming around the end, he just is constantly getting his clothes, his jerseys tugged. But so, like I was saying, I was hesitant to fully go into that narrative. Oh, it's the free throws. It's the free throws. Game two, we got the victory, 30-point blowout. Elated. Obviously, the Lakers didn't get those free throw calls, the whistles, the foul calls, and they whined about it for 2-3 days in between. Oh, this is crazy. We're not getting these calls like we were in game one. We're constantly getting fouled. Look at this play, and then all of a sudden, game three comes around. Warriors go up 11 points, and the dance party going to the free throw line
The
begins.
conga line.
The conga line, the conga line
gotcha.
to the free throw line begins. The game came to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
And look, it wasn't all the whistles that got them to the Warriors getting blown out. There was some bad turnovers. Jordan Poole happened. The Jordan Poole effect. I don't know what's going on with this guy. He is terrible. I don't want to look.
Ever since Draymond knocked him out.
He's had flashes of like, okay, he's okay. He's gonna be all right. He's still our guy. These playoffs, he's been unwatchable, and I feel like he's been unplayable. He should not be on there. Moses Moody, there are guys that have stepped
Moses
up.
Moody is not that guy. Maybe Kuminga, maybe Jonathan Kuminga, but he's because he's a little bit. I think he's a little bit more stout than. Well, I don't know. They're about the same size, Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga.
If we're talking about, but just it's the decision making. You can't make bad decisions in playoff games. Like Moses Moody is, and if okay, so if you want to say bad decisions, someone will probably point out the flagrant call. How is what Moses Moody did? He doesn't want to get Joel Embiid on what's his name, Williams from the Celtics. How he stomped on his head.
Oh yeah, but that wasn't that. Well, I don't think that was on purpose. I mean, maybe, but he was falling backwards.
Moody doesn't even look up at. He kind of is lifting his arm. The guy's already standing on top of him. He lifts his arm and trips Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis's foot is already underneath Moody when he goes to take a step. It's so they
it's
call
not
that
his fault that Anthony Davis is made of glass.
Yeah, they call that a flagrant one. But what happened with Draymond and Schroeder, where he grabs his knee, not to mention that's the second time in the same game. He did it earlier in the game, grabbed a guy's knee as he's coming around the end and gave it a tug. That's a common foul.
Similar issue happened with Domantas Sabonis, and a lot of people weren't paying attention. But
Yeah.
Domantas Sabonis was grabbing guys and grabbing people's knees, and that's why he got kicked in the chest. And I was trying to tell our co-host who is missing this week, we miss you, Wesley Watkins, that was accumulation of effects. I'm not signing off on what Draymond did, but I am saying there was a lot of ne'er-do-wells down there that were doing some minor tugging, minor pulling, some agitating.
And look, that's Draymond's fault. He's he's a habitual line stepper.
Yes.
You know, he's got that. It's a reputation. He gets reputation calls against him. You know, and going off. Getting the technical fouls after the incident didn't help our case. Like we're trying to get back, we're struggling to get back in this game, and you're riling up other guys on the bench. Jeff Green, the green and green effect, both getting technicals there. It's ridiculous. It was just a full, complete, total meltdown. Nobody really looked good, honestly. Steph had bad turnovers. The Warriors look like the worst road team in the NBA. They showed why. Yeah, just a total collapse. Looking forward to the rest of the series.
And we can't go back in the past and dig it up, but I told you this from day one, from the draft. I
Mhm.
told you we should have taken LaMelo Ball. And I know he was hurt this year, but Wiseman, we could really use a good big man in this
Yeah.
series. And what a wasted pick Wiseman was. I would so much rather have LaMelo Ball, who has been one of the better players in that draft class, if not the best player in that draft class, to at least give Steph Curry a break or Klay Thompson a break or replace Jordan Poole's terrible play. And we
Yeah.
didn't get anything back for Wiseman. And in this series, there's no one on the Warriors that's going to be able to stop Anthony Davis if he stays healthy, which
Mm.
is a big if, because Anthony Davis, like I said earlier, is porcelain. He's a
Yeah.
porcelain doll.
Can't, like I said, they have to be rough with him. And if the
Mm-hmm.
whistles are that loose, if they're just going off left and right like that, yeah,
You
there's
got
no
six to
way.
give, baby. You got six to
Yeah,
give. Put the
there's no
guys
way.
on the court that you're willing to get fouled out and have them just bully Anthony Davis the
Exactly. Just
whole
beat him
game.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Throw in Kaminga. Kaminga's not getting any minutes. Have him go in there and just hack Anthony
I,
Davis.
I hate to say this about professional athletes, but I'm going to say it. Anthony Davis is a career quitter. He's a
Yeah.
career quitter.
Could see that.
The it's I'm sorry, Anthony Davis. I think he's one of the when he's good, when he's healthy, when he's right, he's one of the best basketball players on the planet. But it just takes the slightest nick, and Anthony Davis is hangnail. I got to miss 4 weeks.
Well,
He's just not
you've
one of those guys.
you've heard the rap on him. AD stands for alternating days.
Yeah.
If you look at his stats from the playoffs, it's like 30-point game, 12-point game, 30-point game, 10-point game, 30. You know what I mean? It's real. It's a real trend. You see it. It's not
Yeah.
made up.
And
But
I'm sure
just
the
to point,
Warriors hope that continues in the next game.
I hate to be the the foul calls, the ref guy. I don't. That's never really. It's just it hasn't been my mo in when
Uh-huh.
talking about sports. But you can't hide the fact that the Lakers have shot 83 free throws to the Warriors 39 in 3 games.
That is telling, especially when you do. Whenever I can watch the games, because out here it's harder to watch the games. Whenever I can watch the games, the landing zone foul is supposed to be a tech. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
it's supposed to be a 4 point play because Steph's going to make the shot, and it's supposed to be a tech if they keep doing it. Like
Yeah.
it's because you're causing harm to a player. If they land on your foot, that could be a broken ankle.
Mm.
And they seem to be in Steph's landing zone every shot,
Yeah.
every single shot.
And there was some kind of play that happened. I can't stand. They need to do something about the take foul. They need to refine that. The you know what I'm talking about, where
Mm-hmm.
they get a free throw, one free throw, and possession. They need to refine that rule. I was even for the Warriors. I hate them whining for it. That's what I hate seeing.
Yeah, yeah, but
Yeah.
we can't fix basketball today.
Yeah.
I will say we need to fix James Harden because that is crazy. He went off in game one against the Celtics, carried the Sixers on his back, and then said, "All right, that's it for the series.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna play anymore."
James Harden, when he was on the Rockets, when they were having that big rivalry with the Warriors, I think we met in the
Big
Western Conference.
rivalry.
I mean, we met in the Western Conference Finals like 2 years in a row.
You
And
could have
James,
found me. You could have found me in a Buffalo Wild Wings in Seattle with Rockets fans all around me yelling, "Is this what you want to see in the finals? This is the kind of basketball you want to see?" In reference to the Rockets and how they used to play with jumping into players and
yeah,
tripping and flopping all over. I hated that Rockets team, and
I
I
know.
mostly couldn't stand James Harden because he was leading it, and it was just literally just sweat all over the floor because
Yeah.
that's all every Rocket was doing was throwing themselves into a body and falling down
Well, the
repeatedly.
way James Harden drives, he runs face first.
Yes.
His face is like 2 feet. It's like he's running in like 2 feet out in front of him. and just throw the head back. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the worst things that's happening in basketball. It's just the head throwback draws a foul almost every time.
Mm-hmm.
It's
He's
horrible to watch.
notorious for it.
Yeah.
Notorious for it. And he is a giant bowling ball. He is. And he's another one that's a great basketball player. I just cannot stand his game. And what he's doing to poor Joel Embiid right now is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Great story though, James Harden. You can't hate the guy if you know his story. You know what I mean?
The beard. How
The
different does he
beard.
look without that beard, by the way? How he looks so weird.
Before the Kevin Durant Warriors coming, going, leaving saga, all that going on. When he was on the Thunder, Kevin Durant was my favorite basketball
Mhm.
player. Like outside of the Warriors was just my absolute favorite. So I watched the series when they played. I think they played the Heat in the finals
Yeah.
with Harden, Westbrook, and Durant.
Yes.
And I think that's the last time before he had the beard. And he does look really weird. It's like
It
what's
looks weird.
yeah, something has developed under that beard that we may never see.
Ever again.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think he cut it one time since he's had it, and we're all like, what happened? And I don't think he's ever making that mistake again.
Yeah.
I think it's the beard for the long haul.
Yeah.
But who's not there for the long haul? And this is a Bay Area thing. Is the Oakland A's? It appears they're going to be moving to Las Vegas 2027. Many are saying this is a strong arm move, that they're trying to get the city to pay for the stadium, but Oakland's not going to do it.
Sad. That's unfortunate. I find humor in it. Being a San Francisco fan, Giants, always had a strong. I don't hate the A's, but they are. I hate the way that their team. What I honestly feel for the fans. I hate what
Mhm.
that team, that franchise, the ownership, the management does to their fans. They're a farm system for the rest of the league. They develop a guy.
They are.
They develop a guy, and as soon as he has an all-star season, he's gone
They ship
next
him
year.
out.
Yeah. So maybe they're better off somewhere else.
That is my baseball team, and it will never not be my baseball team. I will say this: they have much cooler gear than the Giants have.
Yeah.
Significantly cooler gear than the Giants have. The colors are better than the Giants' colors.
Yeah.
That green, that yellow. Oh, you're rocking it now. How weird.
That's
Is
funny. I was gonna say, I'm not fond of the green and yellow, but it's literally on my head. It's literally the Oregon Ducks colors for the most part. It's their primary color.
yeah.
But
The elephant on the hats is dope. Like if you've ever paid
yeah.
attention to any of those hats, like those hats are dope. The Oakland Athletics might have one of the top 5 hats in all of baseball as far as gear is concerned. And you're right, it is
Mm.
the most loyal fan base, one of the most loyal fan bases in the whole world, just like the Las Vegas Raiders had the one of the most loyal fan bases in the whole world. I know that's one of your most hated teams, but for me, it's my heart and soul. So I do hate to see what the owners have done to these two teams and how they've treated Oakland kind of like a stepchild to the rest of California when Oakland's been nothing but generous, loving, and inviting to these teams.
Mhm.
So we'll see where this goes moving forward. But I only broach that subject to bring up Glenn Kuiper and what
Mhm.
he said in reference to the African American Baseball Hall of Fame this week. Now, for context, Bob Kendrick has come out and he runs the African American Baseball Hall of Fame, or pardon me, African American Baseball Museum, and said that he does not believe this was malicious. He thinks this was an accident. It was, in fact, himself that invited Glenn Kuiper to the museum, and he was nothing but gracious and so happy to be there. But do you think this is just trying to wash it away?
I don't know. It rolled off the tongue a little too casually. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not the first time he said this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But what is confusing is the guy, his co-host, his co-anchor there in the broadcast booth or wherever this occurred. Just yeah, just having no
Just
reaction to it at all. Just
total. Yeah. And it was
yeah,
a
yeah,
deep
yeah,
nod. It was a
yeah,
deep
yeah.
nod.
Just absolutely no reaction. And I saw a funny thing. It was like, did someone just Ron Burgundy his teleprompter?
Maybe he might have just read it. But here's the thing. I can't remember his name, but the Cincinnati Reds broadcaster made a homophobic slur just
Yes.
like what was it, last year or the year before last? And it's
Mm-hmm.
always these old white guys
Yeah.
that just keep saying this stuff. And I'm sorry, you're telling on yourself to be by now. Like,
Yeah.
is there a club? Do all you old white guy broadcasters meet and say, oh, Here's what I'm going to say this year. I'm going to try to slip this one in.
Yeah, those the Freudian slip. Tell us how you really feel, buddy. Um,
What was it a
yeah,
couple years ago, 2006, 2007? Was it Ibis? Don Ibis? They
Don
called
Imus.
the Rutgers, the female basketball team out of Rutgers. He used the slur against them in reference to their hair.
Yes. No, that's not. He didn't use that word. I don't know if
No,
I
no,
want
but
to say what he said.
I'm not going to say what he said. It was in
Yeah.
reference to their hair, is what I'll say.
Yes.
It was a
Yes.
racial slur in reference to African American hair.
And they're yeah.
Yeah.
Called him the H word too at the end of that one. But yeah.
So what are these people are terrible humans? They're just ridiculous?
I mean, on a completely sidebar, Don Imus is just a terrible human being in general. Outside 100%. Of his, yeah, he's
up there with Dave Portnoy.
Yeah, he's a piece of garbage. Yeah, he was Dave Portnoy before Dave Portnoy was Dave Portnoy.
Yes. Dave Portnoy learned at the knee.
Yes. And I hope, you know what? And it's the guy, what's his name? Something Kuiper, Mel Kiper?
Glenn Kuiper.
No, Glenn Kuiper.
Mel Kiper would never.
No. Yes. Not NFL Dracula. Count Chocula.
That man eats a slice of pumpkin pie for breakfast every single day.
Yeah. He's the brother of Giants catcher. He's a former catcher, I believe. Dwayne Kuiper, announcer. One of my favorite. Him and Kruko, Mike Kruko, Giants commentators. So he is the brother of him. And I hope that stink doesn't rub off on him. Now it's like, poor guy's got to either, it's like, what do you do? Do you defend your brother? Do you distance yourself?
I think you go like this is it's going to go something like this. I'm going to predict it. You know, I know Glenn well, and I know this isn't the type of person he is. And I got to tell you, he feels terrible. He knows he made a mistake. He knows he messed up. And I promise you, he plans on doing everything he can to atone for it. What do you think? Pretty accurate about what it's going to be?
That's the way it's going to go, yeah. The way it'll be received is, you know, we all know how it's going to be received. It's not going to go well. It's not going to go well for anybody involved.
And it shouldn't. It should.
No,
we should be done with this as a society.
Yeah.
We should be done with Russia. We should be done with the guy in Russia. We should be done with all of these people that are terrible human beings. We should be done with them. We should learn our lesson and be like, oh, you know what? There are some things in life where you shouldn't get a second chance. Like rich white guy makes millions of dollars, says that word, probably don't get a second chance. You can retire anyway. He's going to be fine. I promise. He's not hurting. I am jealous. I am envious of you getting to watch UFC still because in England, I'm just not staying up till 2 a.m. I'm just not going to do it to watch these fights. Now, I do watch the recaps. I follow it on Twitter. I get my daily dose of what the hell happened after the fights, but you watch them live. So talk to me. What did you see? Drew Dober finally got knocked out. That was wild.
Yeah. There were some good knockouts in there, but this was a card that I feel like was universally like, I'm not paying for that. I can't get myself to pay for this fight card. The co-main event, Gilbert Burns, Bilal Muhammad. A lot of people felt like this was going to be a really boring fight.
Bilal Muhammad is boring.
Yeah, his fights are terrible to watch. And that's the same way I feel about Aljamain Sterling.
In his defense, it's not his job to be entertaining. It's his job to win. Understood, but he is just so boring. And he's corny. And he's so corny.
Yeah. I love Gilbert Burns. I'm a big Gilbert Burns fan. He got hurt. He got hurt early in the fight, or maybe before he went into the fight, he was a little hurt. First round, he goes for a takedown, drives the shoulder hard into the canvas. It doesn't look the same. After that, he spends the rest of the fight. I think he threw one left-handed punch the whole rest of the fight because his left arm was compromised. Just throwing hard rights. It still was a decent fight for a man with one arm. He's a
savage. He's a trooper. He's a soldier. Like that guy will fight through anything. If he's not knocked out, he will keep fighting.
The unspectacularness of Bilal Muhammad allowed this fight to go another 4.5 rounds with a man with one arm. Like anyone else with some pizzazz, some actual some ammunition.
Yeah,
probably could have did did a lot more damage, had him in more compromising positions. But Bilal Muhammad just soccer kicked him the whole
Can
fight.
we just
Just
can we just let Leon Edwards beat Bilal Muhammad? I almost said something else. Beat
yeah,
Bilal Muhammad and be done with this already. Or
right.
Benelli
Yeah,
Dariush. Benelli Dariush. Give him the shot at
yeah,
Bilal. But just I don't want to watch Bilal anymore. And Benel Dariush is no better. He's boring too, to be
yeah,
clear. He's another one that's gonna and wrestling is a part of mixed martial arts. Every mixed martial artist should learn wrestling. That's why the Sean O'Malley Aljamain Sterling fight's not going to be good, just so everyone
yeah,
knows.
yeah.
So it's their job to learn the sport, but gosh, just let Leon Edwards beat him already. Give him the title fight. I don't even care.
On to the main event.
Yeah.
Want to talk about
What did
that?
you think of that? The King of Cringe is back.
Yeah, yeah. He looked great
Okay.
for 3 years off. For 3 years off, he looked great. But like they kept saying throughout the fight, the length of Aljamain Sterling, Cejudo just couldn't get inside. He was just throwing some good shots and just whiffing really bad.
Too short.
I was shocked. Cejudo actually got a leg kick up to a full, fully postured Aljamain Sterling, and I was like, "That's incredible! How a man that small could get his leg up that high and make
Gotcha.
contact." But I don't like Aljamain Sterling's fighting style, and he kind of mentioned that at the end of the fight in his post fight interview. He's like, "Yeah, because he was getting the crowd. This was his hometown fight. It was in New Jersey, where he's from." And
Yeah.
they were cheering. They were cheering Henry Cejudo multiple times throughout the fight. He
Henry
won.
Cejudo brings it though. He brings it. He comes to fight.
Yeah, they mentioned the decision. It was a split decision, and he was getting booed. Like he had to yell, and he didn't acknowledge it too. I hate that. He didn't acknowledge the fact that he was getting booed in his hometown by like the whole stadium.
Yeah.
And he kind of says, I don't care, if my fighting style is I'm going to drag you around the cage for 5 rounds. And if you don't like it, do something about it. And it's
Yeah.
like, you've got a point. You know what I
That's what
mean?
GSP would do.
Yeah.
GSP, one of the greatest fighters of our whole lifetime, would do the same thing.
Yeah. If you're going to fight him and you're going to cry about the fact that he just took you down and dragged you around the whole time, it's like, work on your wrestling then.
Mm-hmm.
Be a better wrestler and game plan against that.
Yeah, what are you doing in your fight camp? And granted, these people are world class wrestlers. It's hard. It's hard to find somebody to spar with that's even close to their level. However, you know what you're gonna get. You know what you're gonna get. It's like when Ben Askren got knocked out by Jorge Masvidal. All right, he planned all week long for that one shot, or all week, all fight camp long for that. He knew he was gonna shoot. He knew it, and he planned for that knee the whole camp. Like it's gonna be there because he's a wrestler and he's gonna try to wrestle. And I don't know why more people don't do that.
Yeah, we had the Sean O'Malley big call out face off in the ring after the fight. I love when the UFC does that. The funny takeaway from that is yes, Marab taking his jacket, his red Michael Jackson Thriller jacket, and putting it on, and he looks so pleased with himself, standing there in the background with his jacket on. It's great.
And then did you see the after effects of that?
Yeah, I didn't see because they kind of panned to it late.
Yeah, he jumped on top of the cage, and Sean O'Malley was trying to fight him over the jacket, and Davishel was like to the crowd. So yes, absolutely fantastic. Go ahead.
That's great. That whole thing with Marab. He's just, I don't like his stance where he will refuse. He's going to hold up the division and refuse to fight Aljamain Sterling because they're buddies. Not a good career.
Probably why Aljamain's such a great wrestler, because I think Davishel could probably wrestle with Aljamain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you paid for that, but it looks like the people that just watched the prelims and the early prelims got the better show.
I paid for it, sure. We'll go with that.
Sorry, Dana. Sorry, Dana. It's not like you're paying the fighters with the money anyway.
No.
So, really quick, as we wrap up the show, Any notes on Deion Sanders losing 71 players to the transfer portal after the spring game? Go Ducks. That's your notes.
My notes are, hey, that's good for us. Anything that affects another Pac-12 team
is good.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Yeah.
I'm shocked. I think it's an NIL issue. I think we're going to start to see more and more of this. I don't think it's a Colorado issue. I think it's a NIL issue. I think the money's not what people think it's going to be or what it's supposed to be at a lot of these institutions. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this. And I want to see a lot more of Peterborough United. Let's go Posh in the playoffs, pulling it off in the last game of the season, winning 2-0 this day that we are recording. So let's go Posh. Let's go Peterborough. And let's go Sad Fans. We want to see more of you. So please subscribe, rate, and review. And then subscribe, rate, and review all over again. You can find us everywhere. Jordan, thank you so much for coming on to the pod this week.
My pleasure. It was great.
All right, Sad Fans. You can reach us at TheSadFan12 or the SadFancast on Twitter. Follow us at the SadFan Podcast on YouTube. Thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next week.